Just waiting for things to go live. Woohoo. We got it. Woohoo. Hello, everybody. This is Catherine Toon, and I'm just happy you are joining. This is going to be kind of short, but it's going to be good. The Lord was really ministering to me today about enough-ness. Yeah. And, the concept of lack is not a kingdom concept. But how many of you know that we experience lack, right? We experience lack. And I think one of the places where lack is most keenly felt, right? When we experience lack, hi Joy, when we experience lack in ourselves, it's like the sense that we're not enough, and the sense that somehow God is not enough. Now, I know as good little Christians, we would never say that. We would say, God is more than enough. You know what I mean? And it's true, except sometimes it doesn't feel that way. And that in the place where God is not feeling enough, he's not feeling present, and we're feeling incomplete. That just needs ministry. When you have pain, it's not, you didn't do something wrong. Okay. And I think a lot of times, when kind of religiosity, it's like we kind of get a sense, wow, if I have a problem, I did something wrong. Okay. And, now let's be clear. Sometimes you really did do something wrong. Except there's no condemnation in the fact that, we are going to do some things wrong. I mean, even in our heart of hearts, maybe it's not frank sin, but maybe it's just a struggle. Maybe it's a cluelessness. Maybe it's a combination. And I think sometimes people in their struggle feel condemned in their struggle, that they have a struggle, right? What's wrong with me? And I know that was a mantra that I had just was going inside my head and my heart for a long time. Oh my goodness, I do not struggle with that anymore. Let me just make the happy announcement that you can get over that. Because what I stopped doing is I stopped looking at my incompleteness. And I started really, really, really looking at God and letting him heal my heart about his completeness, about his enoughness. Now, he's more than enough, but I think, for a lot of us, we need to get to the place where he's enough before he can be more than enough. And I think sometimes we jump to the correct answer without allowing him to minister to us that answer. Because, if we're like, well, he's more than enough. Well, yeah. But are you saying that because that's an outgrowth of how you've experienced him? Are you saying that because you know that that's the correct answer and you're trying to believe it? Okay. Hi, Michael. And so this whole concept that we need to fake it till we make it. No, we need to be authentic as to where we're at while we're looking at what God does really promise and who he really does say he is, and then let him fill the gap. Jesus came to save the entire world. Well, that's not just, keeping our butts out of hell or keeping hell out of us or what all of that is. And I'm not trying to minimize that whole construct and things like that. I want to get in that discussion. But salvation looks like, wow, experiencing him, experience the fullness of him, and then allowing him to unveil you, because you really are complete in him. It's not like you're trying to get there. It's that you're awakening to that right now reality. You wake to the right now reality of God is enough. And then you can start to awaken to the fact that God is more than enough. And then you awaken to the fact that you're enough and you are complete in him, right? So every place where there's a lack, well, if you're staring at yourself in the lack, you are going to get depressed and you're not going to get empowerment. So you're aware of the lack, you're aware of the deficiency. We're not lying that, listen, if you're shooting up crack all the time, Houston, we have a problem, or any other something that's going on there. Okay. But you staring at the problem is not going to solve the problem. But you gazing at the one who is the answer in the midst of the problem is going to draw you in to who he is, his sufficiency, his enoughness, and then he's drawing you into the fact that you're complete in him. He says, as you remain in me and me in you, you will bear much fruit. Okay, so what happens first? Well, it's the remaining. Well, what does that mean? Well, that's also the word abiding. And that word just means to stay without changing. In other words, we need to settle down and really look at Jesus and not just talk about like glancing at him while we're freaking out about everything else, right? We'll never get past the freak out if we're not looking at the one who is love, who casts out fear. The one we're never going to get past the lack, the incompleteness, if we're looking at the lack and incompleteness, because the answer is not found in the lack and the incompleteness. The place where our relationships are lacking on a personal level, on a national level, on a global level, all of that. Well, you know what? Staring at that, and I'm not saying that, you need to sometimes analyze the problem to understand the problem. Like, the thing is this, sometimes the problem's not the problem. Okay. So you can't solve a problem that you don't understand. And guess who's the one that understands what the problem really is? Okay. So a lot of times we feel the pain and we kind of sense the problem, but we really don't know what the problem is. And so when you go to the one who is the capital A answer, he's the one to unveil, well, what is really going on here? Okay. So not only is he the one to unveil what's really going on, he's also the one to unveil how to overcome or transcend, be transformed, be transfigured, all of that as we are looking to him. So this is a really simple message, but let me just help you here. Oh my goodness, it's so good. Simple is powerful. I didn't come here to be brilliant. I came to be helpful. And so where does your help come from? It's going to be from the one who is enough. So he is the God of the enough. It's like, wow, I'm full. And then he can cause you to overflow. So my question is to you today, how does God want to minister his enoughness to you? What is not feeling enough today? Is he not feeling enough? Are the problems so overwhelming that you're like, I don't know, right? Are you feeling inadequate? What's feeling inadequate and not enough? Because God wants to be your completer. God wants to be the one to have you operate out of the overflow. And I've experienced this so much in my life, I can kind of sniff it out as to what I'm operating in. When I start to feel that, oh my God, overwhelmed, not enough. Okay, you know what? If I'm doing what I'm called to do, I'm retreating back to him and letting him be that enoughness. So I don't have to be that. I can be me, who is enough, but I'm not trying to be something. I already am something, and I'm letting him unveil it. And the thing is, you are so enough, and God is so enough. You can be patient in the process. You know why? Because he's got this. Listen, if God doesn't have this, we're all in deep doo-doo. Hi, Anna. We're all in deep doo-doo if God doesn't have this, but he does have this. He is the God of the enough, who fills you to enough, and then he keeps on filling so that you operate in overflow. And he doesn't condemn you for not having it all figured out. Well, gee whiz, if you had it all figured out, you wouldn't need him, and that is a ridiculous concept. Because he said, as you remain in me and me in you, you will bear much fruit. Apart from me, you can do nothing. So don't start wandering off in some delusion that you're apart from him, because that's hell right there. in that experience, but allow yourself to continue to gaze at him so that um, that fruitfulness will happen. Well, sometimes it's a little religious. You bear much fruit. So, like, who talks like that? Well, it's in the Bible, so it's helpful. But then he describes it. God gets to describe himself, probably would know. And then he gets to describe you, and he probably would know that too. And then he gets to describe what experiencing him in intimacy looks like, right? And so when we talk about fruit, well, there's patience and there's kindness, right? There's all that fruit that's so gorgeous that when you experience it, it's not religious, it's life-giving. The other part stinks, right? So you get to have all that. You get to have your needs met. And, God is the one to really define what actually needs you need met. Because sometimes, as I said, the problem's not the problem. We think we've got to have this. And if we just have this, we'd be good. And God is saying, well, I'm not denying you that. But honey, the issue is this. So he gets to be brilliant, and you get to be his adored child that doesn't have to strive and figure it out and make it work. That's exhausting. Anyone else exhausted? I'm just not participating in that. Like, if Jesus can't pull this off, I'm not participating. And the beautiful thing is he does it so lovingly, so masterfully, and so beautifully. Listen, he said he's redeeming all things to himself. That means he's drawing and drawing everything complete in him as the source. Oh, and guess what? Yes, that's right. He is love. He is the God of enough. Anyway, guys, I got to go. I hope this is a blessing for you today. You have an amazing day.